Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of UVZ and Friends, or Friday Night with UVZ and Friends. And tonight is on the panel, we've got Harris and myself. Unfortunately, Peter couldn't make it tonight. And tonight we are talking about the Indian Scout. Now, before we head into that, I want to just ramble on about a few other things. Just before we do that. So bear with me. I thought I want to, well, I think I wanted to tell you about a little ride I did out today. And I saw some pictures on Facebook yesterday. And I absolutely thought it was gorgeous. And I asked the guy, where is it? Where were those pictures taken? And he said, no, it's in Penzance in Cornwall. So I said, well, I might take a ride down there. And initially he thought I was joking. But when I messaged him this morning to say, I'm nearly there if you're around, he knew I was being serious. So I'll just show you guys a little bit, some pictures, just a couple of pictures, so you can see what I'm talking about. So there it is there. That's our bikes together. And yeah, it was definitely a good old ride. So I ended up going down to Land's End in Cornwall, which is about a 600-mile round trip. I spent about 10 hours on the bike, and I had a bit of time to even record for a video. So Tony Marsland, thank you very much for today, mate. I really appreciate it. Bear that in mind as well, guys. Tony, you'll see his website down the bottom. He does mustards, etc. Make sure that you give him some support. He's obviously a small business down here in the UK, and he makes some great products. So thank you for that. I'll just show you guys another picture as well. So this is literally about half a mile from Land's End. Unfortunately, I couldn't take a picture of the iconic sign because it's all shut at the moment with the COVID-19. But absolutely beautiful out there. It's certainly well worth the trip. And I tell you what, I managed to get a few cobwebs out of the system, which was great. You did a ride as well today, didn't you, Harris? Where did you guys ride to today?
So we left from Dubai and we rode to the Indian Ocean coast. Mm-hmm. First, we went through the Kalba Mountains. So we basically headed east on a road called Kalba Road. Mm-hmm. And we climbed through the mountains and then headed along the border we have with Oman, which mm-hmm. is currently closed. And then so that was heading south. And then at one point we made a turn and we went through a bit of the coastal town of Fujairah before we climbed back into the mountains and headed through the Dibba Mountains, did a kind of loop, and then went through this really wonderful road, which is full of, it climbs or descends depending upon which direction you're going through, but you go through, it's cut through the mountains, so there's lots of twisties, and 5 tunnels. So its nickname is the 5 Tunnels Road, but it's the Khorfa Khan Road. And then home through the desert. Got a little toasty on the way home. It was like 42, 43. But it was a great ride. Lots of fun. We had, it was a lot of fun. We just had a good time.
You were telling me earlier that it's quite warm out there, and you were showing me a picture. Well, you're showing me your tan. Show everyone your tan lines on your arm. So that's what happens when you ride in 45-degree heats for the day. So you can definitely feel that one.
It gets toasty.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it was nice for me as well. I mean, we weren't that warm. We had about I don't know, 15, 16-degree weather. And I think I was really a bit concerned because I hadn't done a 600-miler in a while. I thought maybe I would feel it, but yeah, I felt good. I think if I was going to have to do another 600 miles together tomorrow, I probably would feel it. But today was really good. Really enjoyed it. It was one of those unexpected rides, because I actually wasn't going to necessarily go as far as that. But by the time I got down there, I thought it would be rude not to go that little bit further. So that's what I did. Certainly enjoyable ride. Anyway, there's another thing I also wanted to do. There's two shout outs I wanted to give. And, you know, I don't want to be too somber about this one, but, you know, I'm always an upbeat guy. But over the past few years, with a lot of things that's happened, you sort of get used to not being the lucky person, always feeling like the world's plotting against you a little bit. But recently, there's a couple of things that happened to me that's been completely unexpected. And I just want to say a big thank you to Jeff Rutland and to Stevie Boy Lee. So Jeff Rutland gave me, kindly donated a very tall screen, which I've been using on my bike. And it's really made a massive difference to my audio on my videos. It makes a big difference. So thank you very much, Jeff. Honestly, it's an amazing gift. And then Stevie Boy Lee, let me just reach over here. Is someone that I met recently, and he's been following a few bits that I've been doing. And he said to me one day, "What's your address, please?" And I was like, oh, "Okay, well, this is my address," thinking that he's going to send me a few stickers, because that's what people do, you know. They do a sticker swap. And the next thing I knew, I had this big box arrive on my doorstep, and he actually ended up sending me a new pair of Indian sunglasses. And I tell you what, it was such an unexpected shock. I actually, to be honest with you, at the time, brought a few tears to my eyes, because you're just not used to things like that happening. And I'll tell you what, I'll just swap these. You can see my eyes. I can't see anymore because I'm squinting. But yeah, they're absolutely stunning. So thank you very much. I've been riding with them, and really appreciate it. It's not often that unexpected things like that happen, and yeah, it's great news. Anyway, on to the show tonight. The Indian Scout. Now, this is going to be slightly different to normal, because I think the Indian Scout's a really well-known bike, and I don't want to bore people with digging too much into the models. What I really want to do is dig more into the customizations of the bikes and talk a little bit more about that. Obviously, if anybody's got any questions, in fact, I've got some questions for the panel tonight. So if anybody knows the answer or just has an opinion on it, please drop us a message down there. It will really be appreciated. So I'm going to bring up some pictures now of the Scout, and this is a customized Scout that I came across quite recently, and it's absolutely gorgeous as far as I'm concerned, for various reasons. One, it's completely changed the dynamic of this bike. The look is different. The color scheme is completely unexpected. Let me just bring up the next picture, because you'll probably see a little bit better. That gives you a bit more of an idea. So the wheels have been changed, but look at that fuel tank. Absolutely spectacular. You know, that is some proper craftsmanship that really changes the look of the bike. Now, there's another feature here as well, which I think has been, it's easy to overlook, but it's this headlight. It's almost like those canister lights, you know, like those old mining lights, just with a bulb in it facing forward. And it really brings an amazing dynamic onto the bike. And that's really what I want to discuss tonight, is just going through the customizations, you know, what looks good, what doesn't look good. Because obviously you've got the Scout Bobber, and you've got the traditional Scout. And then obviously they come with two motor sizes. One is the 1200 and the other one is the 61-inch cubic inch motor. But, you know, I'm going to assume that everybody knows that already, and just focused on really on the customizations. Now, look at that.
Beautiful.
simply spectacular. You know, this is a bike that's a customer bike that is. This was done by a guy at More Speed, and this is one of their customers' bikes. I mean, it's just simply stunning. Now, if you look at all the details, you know, even just the edge of this handlebar is different. You know, all the sort of touches that was being put into this, and I think that for me is the thing that is such a special element, whatever you want to call it, about the Indian Scout, is how much it lends itself to being customized. When you get the standard bike, it's like a canvas, and you just, when you ride it, you might ride it for a little bit, and then you think, okay, you know what, I want to do this, I want to do that, and that is what I think sort of for me is quite special, because I'm a big Bert Monroe fan, and you know, he was a pioneer, and you know, he was someone who used to swim upstream. He used to do his thing. You know, he didn't let people what do you call it, put him down on his dreams. You know, people told him it's impossible, and he goes and does it. You know, that's sort of the kind of spirit that I have with my riding. You know, like, you know, people will say to me, well, why do you do this? You know, I said to someone yesterday, well, I'm thinking of riding down there. Oh, that's too far. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. And that's the thing for me. I just feel like we need to challenge ourselves with our concepts of things, and that's just my opinion. It doesn't make me right. Doesn't tell, you know, everyone has got their own journey, but I think this is one of those bikes that just shouts out and asks to be customized. Now, I was looking for something which I wanted to get a picture of for you guys, but I couldn't get one. I will try and add some comments and later and links to it. But there's a new thing that's come out, and it's the polished stainless steel mirrors that's come out. So there's no glass in it, and it absolutely is stunning. So what it does, instead of where the mirrors come up over here in the top end, it actually fixes onto the bottom end of the handlebar, where, if you can see where my mouse is moving, and it just changes dynamics. So I've got some photos look similar to that, but I just you know, let me just move to the next photo. No, I thought I'd put this close up in as well, because I just thought that's just brilliant. It really just it's to behold, really. Anyway, so that's what I was talking about. So that bike has actually got the brushed aluminium or polished steel, sorry, mirrors on it, and it just looks stunning. And I think this is the thing. If you look at this bike, and I'll go to the stock bike in a minute, but if you look at, first of all, that's a custom item there, with the rear fender being changed. The chain is being changed. The number plates has been changed. The seats been changed. The foot pegs have been changed. Even the forks have had a change of that. The only thing that's really stock there is the headlights, and the handlebars look fairly stock. But I think, you know, this, you can't look at the bike and not think to yourself, oh, what would that be like? What would that be like? And I think this is the brilliant part of it, because it just takes you back to the to the whole Bert sort of you know, ethos, as it were, because it just wants to have that sort of pioneering type of approach to it. And it doesn't mean that's what you have to do. It just means is that it lends itself to that. I'm not sure if you agree with me on that one.
Oh, I agree completely. I think it's a simple bike ultimately, and because it's a simple bike, you can play with it, and a lot of people do play with it. It's a lot, you know. I was thinking while you were talking about it, thinking like, well, what could I do on my bike? And clearly, there's things you can do. You can change the mufflers. You can do this. You can do that. But I thought to myself, what was if I took off the, the fairing? And then I thought, well, no, if you take off the fairing, you're the chief, right? You wouldn't take off the fairing. Excuse me. But ultimately, what makes the Scout such an attractive bike, even in its even in its basic form, is that it's so simple. And because it's so simple, it enables you to do things with it that you probably couldn't get away with doing on one of the bigger bikes, because they get more. The bigger you get, the more complex you get, the more stuff there is stuffed in them to, the more tech there is to maintain their power to weight ratio, their handling, et cetera, et cetera. So I agree with you. I think it's a fantastic canvas for people to play with, and most of the time that I'm riding with Scouts, they be modified in some way. Lots of guys are modifying the pipes. Lots of guys are changing out the bars. Lots of mini apes or taller apes. The big perspex screen. What do you call it? Fairing in the front. The clear perspex fairing in the front. You see that a lot. It really is a customizable machine, and it's a beautiful machine too. I mean, she really is a pretty bike to begin with.
Yeah.
When you play with it, you kind of take your vision of how it could be more beautiful. But then again, all Indian bikes are beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's it. But I think this is the thing. I'll bring this message up again. This is something that Mark said a minute ago, which is absolutely true. Customizing the bike allows you to express who you are. And I think that's it. And that's what I suppose that I was trying to say. And maybe he said it in better words. It's just that, when you ride, we all ride for different reasons. And we all have, an outlet. And that customization, or how your bike looks, how you have it, really is a reflection, or even as much as how you ride the bike is a reflection of how you feel inside. And I think that's the great thing about this bike. And I know that's the one thing for me is quite important, is how I ride my bike is very much an expression of who I am and how I'm feeling at the time. And again, like today couldn't have come at a better time. I've been in lockdown. I've been feeling absolutely horrible. And I tell you what, I feel rejuvenated being in a situation where I've just done 600 miles in 10-hour bike ride. And, I feel awesome. And it's not something that you can say every day. And I think that's the thing about these bikes, is it just sort of takes you into a different mindset. And, absolutely love it. So let me just have a look at some of these. This is another comment from Louise. She thinks the Scout's got really nice lines, and you can see what it means to make it unique to you. So I'm going to put this up because I'm going to name and shame Mark Rogers. So this is his comment. So just to explain myself, Mark, I was on lockdown, and I tried to get my parole officer to release me, but they were being a bit funny. So I snuck out the door this morning, and I managed to lose them on the motorway. So that's the reason why I was able to get out on the thing. To be fair, most of the time I thought I was actually on my other channel, which is Fat Man on a Couch. But I have to pull myself back because it's such a change to actually to be able to get back on the bike. I mean, it was such a surreal feeling, when you're riding and it's just like, oh, I'm loving this. Oh, I'm loving this. And it's like I'm trying to think of other things to say, but all I can think of is, wow, I'm loving this. Wow, I'm loving this. And I literally did that for 10 hours. It was unless you're in that place, you just can't feel it. And I think that's what these bikes do to you. It's nothing else that that can do that for you. I'll take the foul language off the screen, and So Mark, you're on a warning, mate. That's warning number 1. You get 10 or 20 warnings, so don't worry about it. But you're on number 1 at the moment. Let's move on to the next picture. So that is the 100-year Scouts anniversary.
It's a pretty bike.
No, it's great, but it's just automatically, okay, you can see about 10, 20 things that you want to change. Hang on a second. Mark is just saying something else. Mark, is anything else that you want to say? I just thought I'd name and shame him again.
Actually, Peter, I just want to say, this particular model, I wouldn't change at all. And the reason I wouldn't change it is because it's the 100th anniversary model. I'd change just about any other model, but this one, I wouldn't change. But then again, I'm not a big customizer anyhow. It's not my thing really. I mean, I respect everybody who does it, but this one I look at, I think, this is special edition, and because it's a special edition, I wouldn't play with it very much in order to preserve its value, preserve the not its value necessarily, but preserve its appearance and all these things. But yeah, I can see what you would do. I mean, I know already everybody's going to strip off the rear fender. Everybody's going to chop up the front fender to start with.
Well, this is the thing. Now, I chose this picture for a few reasons. One is because of what you're saying, but 2, obviously, it's a fairly good representation of a standard Scout bike. So if we pretend for a minute that this is not a 100-year anniversary bike and doesn't have any future value other than many, many, many miles, what would you do with this? Now, actually, there's a few things I would like to do. And I would like to get rid of as much of this exhaust as I possibly could. Absolutely get rid of as much of that. Now, one thing I've seen recently on other bikes is people getting the exhaust to come out under the seat. And I'm not suggesting that we do that, but I'd like to have something that literally just leaves it out the back here. Then what I'd like to do, and this is the only bike I would do this on, okay, is this fender. I'd actually like to extend it much, much lower all the way around and down the side of it to cover more of this area here, to create that sort of old school look. I then
like a valence fender.
Yeah, exactly. And the same sort of thing with the front. And then with the handlebars, I'd like to change that, put some proper apes on it with those mirrors off the bottom edge here, and give it a completely custom paint job, and get and I suppose Indian will shoot me for this one, is just do my version of the logo, which I think will look absolutely fantastic. Now, if I know Mark's already saying, no, don't do that, but I think that would look really good. But now, let's move on to the next picture. Unless there's something else you want to say on this image for now, Harris?
Well, the one thing I would say, I was just going to say, I totally agree with you about the mufflers. And I've seen on Instagram, there's one bike that keeps popping up where the cans, the pipes are curved. So they kind of curve around the front and come out the back, and they stop about where you pointed them at the joint there. And they're slash cut as well, and they look absolutely stunning every time I see them. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. I quite often I've obviously spoken about some of my bike history, coming more from a sports bike and then moving on. And I tell you what, the first time I saw this Scout, I wanted to buy it. It absolutely is a great looking bike. It's got the sort of the seated position that I like. It's got the fork, the rake and everything is what I like. I like that sort of look and feel. The only reason why I'm not currently riding that bike, well, there's probably a few, but the main reason is my size.
Yeah, you're too tall. I'm too tall.
So I know tall people that actually ride these bikes and they're fine. But the problem is when you add tall and massive onto this bike, it does look a bit awkward. And that is the main reason why I don't like, not like, ride this bike right now. But it's gorgeous. However, what I would like to do is if I have a nice custom bike, I wouldn't mind having a bike that I can pop out for every so often, because at the moment my bike is more of like an all-round bike. So, you know, for long journeys, short journeys, I use it for everything, but it'd be nice to have something that you can simply pop out. Now, if I show you this example that's coming here, you'll see what I mean. Now, this is the different version. So I told you about what I was looking at. Now, while still stock, that is a gorgeous bike. Okay, so now you can see the lines. So again, you know, I think there's a theme that comes through here. The first thing that you want to do is you want to change the pipes. Pipes got to go. Okay. The second thing you want to do is you want to do the mirrors, because those mirrors look absolutely gorgeous. And when I bring up this, that's why I mean by that. Now, those mirrors there, I wouldn't actually have. I would go for those polished stainless steel mirrors, because they look absolutely amazing without the glass on it. Then I would change this fender. I would pretty much get rid of this entire fender there, just underneath the seat. So let me just go back to the previous picture. So I would literally chop the fender right there. So it really gives you that sort of, it's quite a retro feel almost, if you know what I mean. And but it changes the look of the bike so nicely. I mean, this sensor area here with a V-twin motor, that's gorgeous. I think it's hard to make that any better. And I think the only thing that you would do with this is if you had a different combination of color, what you would do is, so let's say you had I don't know, you like your red, Harris. So if you had your red on your tank, I would do some of these areas in red and black, or have maybe a red theme throughout. But that's what I would do with that. So I would probably match that color to something else on the bike as well. And obviously you've got the bobber. So the bobber has got these style wheels, whereas the standard version has got slightly narrower wheels. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I love the idea of chopping it and then adding the pipes that I described, because it makes the whole. I mean, those pipes, you know, these pipes here basically come straight out of the engine and go to the back.
Yeah.
And the pipes that I've seen, you still have stacked pipes, one on top of the other, but they're curved, so they actually start out forward and then they swing around really quick, and then they kind of come up a bit, right?
Yeah.
So they look like this, and then they stop right about where the seat ends, or rather, they stop right about right there, right? No, go forward a little more, right where right where the cans are, and they slash. So they kind of look like this with a slash, and it really is aggressive looking, and it enables you to see the rear tire. Yeah. Which I think these cans, you know, I don't like these cans precisely because you can't see the rear wheel. And then if you slash them, I like the idea of, I mean, you know, I think with the Scout, if you're going to customize it, you either go big, like you said, you know, valence out both fenders, or chop them up. And I love the idea of chopping it right where the seat ends. And at the same time with those pipes I've described, because then what you get is an incredibly visible rear end. You get to see the shock linkage. You get to see the way the tire, the wheel is attached to the bike. It makes it actually look almost like a mini chopper, not a bobber anymore. You know what I mean? Because then you've got that chopper aesthetic in the back going for you. I'm not saying that I'd want to chop out the front. I wouldn't want to make the front into a chopper at all. But I like the way that back, like for instance, when you that first bike you showed, which I think was at what Motorcycle Live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You know, that the way that rear end was just completely naked gave it a kind of chopper feeling
Yes.
to it, and I really love that. And I love that idea that you have about getting rid of most of the rear fender. Then I chop out the muffler, the pipes like we did, like I've described, and then you've got this beautiful exposed shock linkage and tire and wheel, and it really gives it an aggressive kind of, I don't know, naked mechanical feeling, like really mechanical looking bike. So I do that in a heartbeat. One thing I love about this bike is the I don't know what to call it, the cowl over the front headlight. I like that cowl.
Yes.
It's got an industrial, I guess
I like that.
the word I was looking for is industrial, right? When you do the muffler trick that I described, you chop up the rear end like you described, it becomes much more of an industrial looking machine, more like steampunk looking. Really
yes,
nice.
I get you, yeah.
Really nice. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I would two-tone it. That's good, but then again, everybody over here wants matte black to the point where I'm sick and tired of matte black, because just matte black.
Matte black is
I
the
hate
business.
I hate it. I mean, it's a beautiful color, and I respect everybody's color choice, but everybody here wants a matte black bike. I just don't like it anymore. Just me. I just don't like it anymore.
Well, I think the reason why I like matte black is because it's a canvas for the rest of the stuff that I would not do. So what I would want to do is I would like to put my ghosted zombie graphics on the tank, but I mean a proper ghost. So you need to get up really close. So what I'm talking about is not that sort of whites on black, but a real black on black. So you've got the matte, and then you finish your ghosting in a gloss sort of style. So you got to come up really close and actually see what's going on, and that's what I'm wanting is something really dark and I suppose scary looking is my thing. But the one thing that with this bike as well is once you've done the other customizations, you can do one or two things. You can leave it like this because for the sake of the riding position, and it will be quite nimble. You can throw it around quite nicely. Or depending on how you want to ride this bike, put some nice mid apes on this. And I think if you look at this next picture, right, if you put some nice mid apes on that and make these customizations here, that would look the business as well. And it's something that you can go either way. So I would, if you were trying to sort of just do a bit of a cruise, then I'd smash the apes on there. If you were trying to ride a little bit more aggressively, then this is the sort of handlebar setup. And this is the only thing that I would say is that I wouldn't mind there being some bars. I just don't like that bend too much. I would like to have something a little bit more, even if it was more chunky. You know what I mean? So if it came out there, like you're talking about the industrial side, so even if it was, so for argument's sake, the same sort of size as the grip width, just coming out of there, I think that would add a lot to the bike. Just make it that little bit more chunky. It's possible to do. I don't know, but certainly an absolutely great looking bike. I mean, even with regards to this thing, the only thing that I would really change is probably the tires. I don't like those tires. I get them, but I would want to just put some proper race style tires on there, because if you're going to ride a bike like that, you want to go fast. That's my opinion.
We have a guy in our group who rides a Scout, a bobber, and he's got mini apes on it, and man, he flogs that thing.
Yeah.
He's a rocket through the twisties. I think the mini apes actually, so he's riding like about there, and just watching him ride that bike, it's amazing to watch with the apes. I mean, they're not high apes, they're mini apes, but he keeps up with the FTR through the twisties. He really rockets that bike around. So I think the mini apes, I agree. I like the mini apes on this bike. And I think, after all the modifications we discussed, what I would do is I'd put splashes of red in it. So I was thinking, because I really love the. I forgot where the color is, but it's got metal flake in this like fire engine red. That's my chieftain, and then there's black accents to it. So what I do is I probably paint what remains of both fenders that color, and maybe the outline of the radiator in that color as well. So little splashes of red against the matte black to pop the bike a little more. That would be my thing. And so steampunk would look really cool.
I've got something that I think you would absolutely love. Now, bear with me on this one.
Sure.
So the customizations that we were talking about, right? So all of that as it is. But then a nice candy apple pinstriping.
Oh,
so
that's
all the
nice.
accents are around the edges. Then with some flourishes, if you know what I mean. So like whatever your main sort of idea of a design is on the back part, and the same thing. So replace this sign, the Indian sign, with the candy apple on that. I think that would look absolutely amazing. And again, you could have your variation of that, but something really that sparkles and stands out. Even like on the forks, not the whole thing, but just a little bit of an accent here and there. I think that would look amazing.
Agreed. I never thought of pinstriping it, but yeah, you could do the Indian logo in candy apple, and then carry that through with pinstripes that come, that eventually meet in the center of the top of the tank, right in front of the seat. That'd be nice. And then carry that theme to what remains of the rear fender, and then maybe pinstripe. I like the idea of pinstriping the front fender as well, and then maybe even the spokes.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I would say is that if you was going to go as far as that what I would like to do is just get rid of anything that looks silver, get shot of it. Now, the only thing obviously you might not be able to change is the brake caliper, the brakes, but the rest of it, if it's silver or chrome or whatever, get rid of it. Everything. I even think that would look awesome if you got rid of the speedometer. Now, I know it's probably not a thing that you can do in the UK. It's probably something more in the US. But get rid of it. Clean that thing up completely and get rid of anything that's excess. I think that would look stunning.
It would. I need to go. There's somebody at my door. I need to leave for like 2 seconds, okay?
No problem.
My apologies.
But we're just about to the end anyway. Yeah, no, sorry guys. So I'll move on. Oh, that's the end of the photos. So well, at that thing, I think we're pretty much getting to the end of the show for tonight. Any other questions at the moment, guys? Louise, Mark, Grumpy, anyone? No? Well, on that note, I think we're going to call it the show for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in as usual. Obviously, like I say, I need a little bit of a rest tonight. I had a nice long run today, so yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in again as usual and listening to us. And make sure that you guys stay safe when you're out on the roads. I know there's a bit of riding that's going on at the moment, but thank you very much. Until the next time, see you soon and stay safe.